Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. This is episode 184. I'm Mike Marlin, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is my friend, my partner, and the person to argue with the most, Blaine Birch. What's up, man?
Maybe people like it. Maybe people
you don't understand my personality. I love to debate. I love to just argue, and I don't really consider what we did arguing. I consider just like healthy debate back and forth. We took a chance, right? We took a chance because 180 some episodes, we were pretty much just kind of moving along. We're like going, hey, what would happen if we took opposite sides?
Till that one. It was like a little spark, and then last week was a little bit of debate, and I like to debate too, but I'm hopefully we weren't going in circles.
Anyway, I actually got feedback, and I'll save it for the episode. But yeah, I got some feedback.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'm looking forward to hearing it. And okay, so before we dive into the beers that we're featuring this week and our beer sponsors, I'm going to tell you a little bit about topic today, so you know what you're in for. The business plot twist when you change everything. So I know you're going to tell us about where this idea came from, and and we're going to dive in and talk about it. But stay tuned for that. Before we get to that, what are you drinking this week?
All right, so I found a new brewery, Fort Worth, Texas, right? And it's Panther Island Brewery, and it was a cool ass can. Usually, you're the man that comes in with the cool cans, but and I can't even figure out what kind of beer this is because I can't pronounce what it says. Theolized NEIPA, but it's Hazy Cat, right? It's called Hazy Cat. Check it out there.
Oh, cool!
What a cool can.
Very
Panther
cool
Island
can.
Brewery. But can you figure out what that is? That's like theolized NEIPA.
Well, that's NEIPA.
Maybe
that's New England IPA.
Yeah, New England IPA.
New England IPA is the last part, but I don't know what the first part. I don't know. They probably made up a word. Okay, so this week, with the topic of business plot twist, when you change everything, and I saw you're actually going to change everything by doing something that never changes. Because this is the first time, because I have had like microbreweries for 183 episodes, and today I have a Guinness.
What?
Because it is that's the twist, business plot twist. I've got a Guinness, and it doesn't change. So it's the opposite of when you change everything. So, but that's not why I picked Guinness. I picked Guinness because when I looked in my fridge, all my beer were over like 10-12%. I thought, I better just grab a Guinness today. So it's getting thinned out, and the only ones left are just these massively strong barrel-aged stouts, which are delicious, but not great for a podcast.
All right, see, so I've got neighbor Thomas, lives right across the street. They're heading to Ireland in May.
Nice.
Right? And they're going to go to the Guinness Brewery, and I keep talking about, the ball or whatever that is inside. Yeah, that thing, right?
Yeah.
You get 100 of those, you get the special VIP tour of the Guinness thing. So, and he goes, I don't have enough time. I'm like going, dude, there's like 4 or 5 of us in the neighborhood. We can knock this out in a weekend.
We can knock it out. What's your address? I'll throw a ball in the mail.
There you go. We can knock this out. So it's easy to drink 100 Guinness before May.
Oh yeah,
with the neighborhood, with the whole neighborhood.
Exactly,
right?
The whole neighborhood. And Guinness. What I love about Guinness, I have such a massive appreciation for them now, where I never used to. It's a very good beer. It's like the quintessential Irish stout. It's only 4.1%. It is literally a light beer in delicious flavor mode. So
it is smooth. It is very smooth. Yeah. And it's just been around, just been there. So
been there forever.
Super cool. Well, good. All right. So we got Neighbor Pat as usual, one of our beer sponsors. Let me tell you about the beer sponsors. That was part of the feedback that I got today. right? So I got feedback that led to the episode. I'll share after we get through these beer sponsors, but the feedback I got, first of all, it's from Devin, right? Devin actually went face to face with Courtney. They actually met over in Louisiana this week, got to work together a little bit. And Devin gave some feedback, not only on our previous episodes, but on buying a beer, right? Because we've had a couple people get confused. He goes, yeah, the way you guys have it set up with the buy us a beer isn't awesome. Right. So he says it's too confusing or too hard to do. And I'm like, I hadn't thought about it. Right. Because what we're using is this thing called Buy Us a Coffee. And it's just a standard widget and it's free. Right. Because that's who we are. So it's free. And it's just a thing you plug in a URL to your website and they handle it. And then I hook up Stripe on the other end and it just puts the funds in our account. Well, I guess I really hadn't thought about the user experience, and because it's come up twice in 2025.
Yep.
I'm like going, well, maybe, yeah, Rachel too, right? Well, Karen had a problem with it because Karen had to make two different purchases.
Karen, you're right. It was Karen.
So yeah, so Karen, remember she did a small purchase and then figured it out, then made the bigger year purchase. It may be something that I look into, right? Saying, hey, well, is there a better way to do that to make it easier? Because he called us out with our own words about making it easy for the customers to buy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? I'm like,
okay, Devin, I'm going to let you in on a secret here. I'm not sure I've looked at our website in like 8 months or something. Like it's not our main thing. I promise Mike and I will take a look at it. And you know what I think might be the best plan is when you go to mikeandblaine.com, it's just a big buy us a beer right there. Nothing else on the page. Maybe a link or two to actually listen to episodes, but
we took a template from a free website like 5 years ago and haven't changed it really since.
Changed it at all. No, not at all.
In some ways, it's funny. Yeah, we'll take a look. We could probably do a better job at because we know what we're doing now, right? Then we're like, we don't know what people will click on.
Exactly.
You only go to there to buy merch and buy beers anyway.
So you might as well.
Might as well just have a landing page of that, right? And that could be it. As easy as possible. Just do that. Because, you can listen to the episodes. We can keep that on there. It's pretty easy. But most people subscribe through Apple or through Spotify or something like that. So even having our episodes on the website isn't that great.
It's not that important because I think, and also make sure you follow us on YouTube. So while we're at it, follow, like, subscribe so you don't miss an episode because we know you're not likely going to our website. And we promise we will take a look at that. Thanks, Devin. We will make some time to go over and look at our website. And I'm pretty sure both could go, what were we thinking? But it's up there. We want to get that front and center so you can buy us a beer, because if you buy us a beer and you sponsor the show, it's $5 an episode. We have sponsors going out all the way to the end of 25 that have been with us for years now. And because it's the best bang for your buck, because now we're going to tell you about our sponsors. And so we just mentioned Neighbor Pat. Devin, you can talk a tiny bit about Devin.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said Neighbor Pat, but I mean, Neighbor Pat is always, but he's been there since day one. He's one of those day one listeners. He was probably subscriber number one when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
But I want to thank him for everything he's done because he walks down beer every other week, if not every week. So he walks down some beers. Devin, awesome. Again, Devin he's up to date, right, on these things. He says it's his favorite podcast. This guy, every time he's in the car, every time he's in the car, he's got it on. So thank you, Devin. Appreciate that.
Even when we argue.
Well, and I'm that'll get to the feedback.
Okay. We'll finish up. We will thank our other sponsors. So Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog. So if you own a business and you need to know how to use QBO or QuickBooks Online, which honestly, if you own a business, there's a good chance you're using it, and it's a great tool, go talk with Rachel, gentlefrog.com, or go over to her YouTube channel, YouTube/@gentlefrog, and she will tell you everything you need to know about QuickBooks Online so you become a pro at it.
Yeah, and then we got Karen Hairston of 3SSmartConsulting.com. She is the cash flow queen of Michigan, right? If you got a cash flow problem, if you don't know where it is, you don't know where to look, go find Karen, right? Go to 3S smartconsulting.com. Check out her website. Get on a call with her. Say, Karen, I want you to find my hidden cache. And she'll do it. She knows exactly how to do that. So thanks, Karen.
Yeah. Thanks again, Karen. So I want to hear Devin's feedback.
All right. So for those of you that are new, that have never heard the show before, you're like, oh, I'm going to go on this one because it sounded interesting. We make up the topic about 10 minutes before before this happens. And it just so happened that Courtney was boarding a plane in New Orleans, and I got to pick her up right after we record this. And she goes, hey, I just got done talking to Devin, and he had some feedback for the show. Are you open to feedback? I'm like, going, yeah, most of the time. I'm sure there's a few times I haven't been, but I'll take it. Well, she gave me the feedback on buying the beer. It was a little confusing. It's awkward. It's weird. Okay. Point taken, and we can make that better simply. 5 years ago, maybe we didn't have the systems in place, but 5 years later, technology's there. We can make this
now
a lot easier.
Us, it'll be awkward and weird.
Yeah, that's right.
The there you go. Website will be good to go.
So then he said, what's going on with Mike and Blaine? Because it was different, right? And Devin's being really being a soft touch, right? Like going, hey, they were different. They argued. They don't normally do that. I've listened to 180 episodes and there was no I think we had one episode before that where we kind of got, on opposite sides when you hated the fact that I was supporting the banks. Right? Remember that?
Oh, yeah. We've had three.
Yeah.
We have
Pat even brought that up.
He
goes, no, remember you guys fought, a year or two ago about the banks. All right. So he goes, are they okay? So that's what made the topic pop into my mind. I'm like, okay, when people get accustomed or get used to your pattern, your cadence, the thing, and that's just like that's their comfort zone. It's like a blanket. Like, oh, it always feels right. Then all of a sudden somebody washes it in different detergent and it smells different. You're like, oh, that's not the blanket. So he just noticed the difference in the episode. And so he wanted to say, check in, are we okay? And that was the first episode. And I told her, I'm like going, well, wait till I hear his last week's.
Yeah, last week's a little bit of a debate. Okay. Yeah.
So that's how it started, right? Is that he's got an expectation. We didn't meet it. He's checking in saying, hey, this is different, and, I was trying to explain to Courtney that, you know what, we actually, after the first one, we said, what if we tried that? Would we get different feedback? Would we get somebody to notice? what would happen? And we didn't tell anybody we were doing it. We just did it. So I had Pat come to me. I had Devin come to me. So, and probably there's other people out there that says, what the hell was that? That was different. So, I mean,
okay, so it was different, but what was there a preference or was there not a preference? I'm just curious.
I think he actually likes the conversations we have about business, right? So, I mean, he's the type of listeners that says, I'm running a business. Now, okay, he works for a major corporation and he runs a portion of the business, but there's still a lot of things he takes from here that he can apply, right? There's things that he can't because when you're part of a corporation, they already have systems and things in place, but there's ideas or ways of doing things that you can implement. He's got some autonomy. So I think he likes that part, the learning part. I don't know that he likes the contention. It's just like me. Courtney will sit there and watch and Mallory will sit there and watch Real Housewives or something or another. I'm like going, this is an hour of arguing at a time. Like that's all it is. And it's just blast arguing. And I can't stand it. Right. I've got to the point where I liked it didn't like it. It was interesting. It was curious at first, but now I hate it.
Yeah, and I think we may have pushed a little far on our brand because it's not our typical brand. And definitely it wasn't actually that planned out. It was actually my fault because I was a little on edge. Had nothing to do with Mike at zero, nothing to do with the show. I came in a little bit fired up and a little on edge. And we'd already talked a little bit about, because we did have that one episode a while ago that was a little bit of fireworks. And we're like, well, I wonder if people actually would engage more on this. We actually talked about that. So there's partly strategic, partly Blaine had a bee in his bonnet. But I do think that's really good feedback. And I think we should be sticking with our brand that is talking about business, but not quite as contentious, because I find it more fun too when it's less contentious and it's a little more BS mixed in there. So thanks for the feedback, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't mind the times when we take an opposite approach, because that's what business ownership is. You can never put two business owners in a room and they say that's the exact right way you have to do it, right? Because business ownership is a wide open road, and as long as you don't go in the ditch, break a law, or be unethical, right?
Yeah.
Whatever way it takes you to get there, that's the way you have to do it.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. All right, I go. All right, so tell me more. All right, so, look, you started off right off the bat.
I just thought that'd be funny. Let's check that. I think I better keep sticking to my knitting over here. And
you got it, Nick. Good use. Good use.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's funny? You know what's funny is most of the time when we argue, we miss the secret word.
We miss the
Most of
secret
the time.
words. We miss the sponsorship. We miss all of it. So we're so I think we better go back to our main brand, because we're good at it. 180 some episodes. I think we will stick with that. But you kind of told a little bit about where this comes from. Give it a little more depth. Like, what is this business plot twist that you want to dive into today?
Well, all right. So I start thinking about it. Are there other brands? Are there other times that either I changed direction or a company that I expected? Because, you go to a certain place, and I don't care if it's your local watering hole, your local little bar. When they change ownership, people are worried that the mood, the culture, the seat that they like. Hell, I don't know. When I came in and took over bars, there were people that came in and go, "Hey, I don't want you to make a bunch of changes in here because this is the way we like it." I'm like, yeah, this way it doesn't make money. We're going to change it. So, but I mean, what is it that you have to manage when you make a change? And, there's things in times when it works, and there's things in times when it doesn't work. And, to me, I'm like going, are there some times in big business where I've seen somebody change and it worked, right? What they had to what they became. And I was getting ready like this to go pick up Courtney, and I picked up Old Spice, right? Think about this. When you say Old Spice, or when you used to say Old Spice, what did you think?
Used to be old guy. Yeah.
Old Spice was the buoy shaped bottle, right? Remember the white ceramic bottle with the little thing you pulled out of the top and you splashed it like this in your hands, and it was aftershave or whatever. Like that's what it was.
Yep.
And they expanded their product line, but everybody thought, because that was the thing. Oh, that's Old Spice. That must be a grandpa, right? That's kind of what we're thinking. Well, I'm sitting here, I'm like going, damn, I really like this Old Spice. Aqua Reef is what I use as a deodorant. I like the smell. It's the glide. It's not the white powdery stuff. It's just the glide. It's real easy. So I like using that. I'm like going, there's a brand that completely changed. Remember they went and they said, smell like a man. They stopped being, the Old Spice of old, like, or whatever it is. I can't even remember what it was. But they said, smell like a man, and they were being funny about it. They would have this guy that was like trying to be a man, but it looked weird and looked crazy and like he was always wrong or whatever.
Brilliant.
And they still do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally rebrand themselves on who they were. That was a time when they changed what I expected, and it worked.
I am going to encourage all of you, because this is the interesting one. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm really curious, and will probably take 5 years till we'll know if it works. If you haven't checked out Jaguar, go check out Jaguar, because they changed their brand, their design language for their cars, everything. And if you're thinking a little bit, it looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie from 100 years from now. It is so different. And I think one of the main colors was like a kind of a purpley pink car. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I don't know if you'll see it on the Jaguar website yet. I haven't looked, but it's got a brand new logo, and the car that is completely different. And this is the way they're going. This is the way Jaguar is going. And so I'm really curious to see if this works or not. But they're betting the company on it.
All right, so you're gonna have to post a picture of this on the Facebook page or something so people can see it. But
Yeah, do you see it there?
no, where's it at?
Well, I thought you might be checking it out. I'll have to put it on the Facebook page because so you guys can see it if you haven't seen it. It is so
No,
you should.
but yeah. So I'm interested in seeing what happens too, because
Yeah.
I actually, before I moved back to Texas from Seattle, the car I went to buy was the F-Type. Right, the Jaguar F-Type. You know what I'm talking about? Is the convertible one. I was apparently in midlife crisis or something. Who knows?
Didn't want to say anything. Was it also red?
I would have bought the red one too. Shit, I would have. So I'm like going, I'm gonna get this F-Type. Well, all I had to do was you know me. I'm not the smallest of guys. Well, when I get into a little sports car, I don't fit so good. There's not a sports car for husky kids apparently. So
They're tiny. Those are tiny cars. I have sat in one of those, and they look awesome from the outside. And I was like, I'm not that big of a guy, but I did feel claustrophobic in it, to be honest. So,
but I love the way it looks. Right, that it was attractive. It was sleek. It was like going. It was so different than anything else I had seen. It was the one car I wanted, and I was going to go buy it. And that's how you end up with a Ford Expedition. As you go sit in the Jaguar when you're a bigger guy, you go, fuck, this don't feel right. I go sit in the Expedition. It's like I can lay down in that. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to show you this because we brought this up. I think you need to see what's happening here. So, can you see this?
Hey, I'm out. Hey, I'm out. I'm not buying any car that looks like that color. That color, right? Maybe it's black. Maybe it's black and it's better.
They probably will have different colors now, but they wanted to make a splash and they wanted to make a big splash. So they made a change that was so dramatic and they went all in. So it's a pink. It's a pinky fuchsia sort of color. And then I think they had a blue one in the background. Go check it out. But Mike, when you said you're out, I actually thought, I knocked you out of our chat here. So that's why a little panic there. I'm like, oh, shoot, sharing the screen might not work. Go check it out. It is really interesting. So, and I don't know if it's going to work. I'm really curious. And I don't know if they'll go that far and start to creep back a bit. Here's another car brand that did this not too long ago, Cadillac.
No, but wait a second. Pull that up again because
Sure.
The logo might be okay, right? Because they had like the Jaguar, they actually had the face. I mean, that's the old school thing. They had to come up with something a little bit more modern. I mean, a little bit easier. It's a lot of detail, right? The Jaguar logo is a lot of detail. So pull that back up. Let's just look at. So I'm going to ignore the color this time. The shape is pretty cool, right? The shape is cool. It looks like the F-Type. Right, that shape is very similar to what they have now in the F-Type.
Except it's very, very squared off.
It's boxier. It's
very boxy with some curves kind of mixed in. It looks like, like the lights are all like these little LED kind of strips and stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting design language. They've changed dramatically. The logo is very, very simple. They used what was interesting too is it's all lowercase except for the G. How the J might be, it's hard to tell, but they did a kind of an uppercase, and I think it's so that they could keep it as a straight box, and there was no descender kind of dropping down on that. Really interesting. I'll say like the what it reminds me of, and it did work for this company, was Cadillac. Cadillac had even more pronounced of a problem where Cadillac buyers were getting older and older and older, and they were losing out on those buyers.
Yeah.
I'll close this off now. They were losing out on buyers. And if you remember the very first Cadillac that came out, it was so opposite. They made it as square and sharp edge as possible. It looked almost like the Cybertruck in Cadillac car form. And but then within about 5 years or less, they started it to where they are today. It's like, okay, we completely changed the brand. Now they could start to soften it. They could keep going in a direction, but it didn't have to be as extreme as that first car that came out. And I think Jaguar might be doing that as well. It's like you got to dive in with both feet and explode the brand, and then get feedback and start pulling it back to where it's really falls into the strike zone.
All right. So I don't know that logo connects with that car. It's too bubbly or something. It's me. I'm like, with all the rounded letters, all the it's really bubbly. It's more like a Prius type of or something like it doesn't match the sexiness of that Jaguar car. It just doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting observation, because I think you're right. The car itself, now the color may not have, well, it's interesting because it's very different, but the shape and everything has an
It's
edge.
not that
But
different.
you're right.
It's the F type though with boxes, right? It's a little
Very
bit more squared off.
very squared off, and a bit of a blend. Like, it's very squared off, but still has some really elegant lines to it as well.
Yeah.
And I'm
Did you?
really, it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how they execute this when they have a car that's actually up for sale.
All right, so 5 to 7 years ago, Lincoln floated a Continental prototype, the Lincoln
Okay.
Continental, and it was badass. If you can ever go back to about 2000 or 19 or 2000 and look for Lincoln Continental with the suicide doors, they were going to try to bring those back. You know what I'm talking about with suicide doors, where they kind of
Open
both
forward.
open from the inside, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, damn, if they did that, I might buy a Lincoln. That was me talking 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I've never seen one in production or something you could buy. I'm like going, that was the direction they should have went, and they went more mass production where it looks like a Lexus. It looks like all the cars right now today, to me, although the technology is infinitely better, that's what makes me envious all the time. I'm going, shit, I got a car in 2021. Everybody's better now. It's the FOMO thing that I got.
Well,
But
and
the style isn't. The style isn't better.
Yeah. And I think the cars that because there's companies that have tripped over themselves because they chickened out. So, like I said, Cadillac went from almost dead on the scrap heap to being a legit thought of car. People buy Cadillacs. Like, they redeveloped their brand. They went all in and they executed, and you could buy that car. But like, first of all, I can't even picture the Lincoln, but I know what they look like today, the Lincoln. So they didn't do it. They didn't go far enough. But the other company was Buick. Buick was almost, again, like dead on the scrap heap. And about, oh man, I'm trying to remember. It was 10 years ago, probably less than 10 years ago. They had a concept car at one of the car shows that looked production ready. It was gorgeous. I'm pretty sure if you look up Buick, whatchamacallit car, you'll see, you'll find it. Concept car. You'll find that it was absolutely gorgeous. And I just like, I was like you, I was like, holy cow, I might actually buy a Buick. It was that beautiful. And then what they did is first of all, they never brought that car out. They chickened out, didn't bring that car out, even though everyone at the show and all across the world were like, that's an amazing car. They chickened out. And then they started to just bring little tiny bits into their design. And it's taken them 10 years to get just some baby steps forward. And I don't think it's helped the brand. And I think that's the thing, is the ones that actually have the bravery, sometimes they're rewarded for it. I think they were so fearful of it failing that they're likely going to fail anyway, because it's taken this many years to try and get something that is just still an also ran, but I guess is still alive. That's my opinion on it. If you have a Buick, good for you. That's my opinion on what the brand has done from their design language and their excitement of the brand, right?
All right, so here, check this out. Boom. What do you think?
Oh yeah, okay.
Right? Look at this thing. Look how
Uh,
sexy that is. You don't think so? With the suicide doors? I thought it was one of the
it's
coolest cars out there. I mean, now, would I run it every day? No, but that's a cool looking car to me.
yeah, I don't mind it. I feel like this is another problem I sometimes see with car companies. I feel like they grab parts from Bentley and parts from uh what's the other one I'm thinking of? The Silver Ghost. Um anyway, it's escape me. But they grab
Rolls
parts from
Royce?
other Rolls Royce and they grab parts
Yeah.
from it and kind of put it together, but I don't think they put it together as elegantly as they could have. So is it cool? Yeah, but I feel like they didn't kind of go, we're going to chart our own direction. They kind of went, um, we're going to sort of piggyback on some other ones that we know have worked. So it's kind of interesting, but it feels a little bit derivative.
You know, a company that has put together parts and ingredients elegantly and it worked. I'm talking about Magic Mind, dude. I
Absolutely.
got two packs of these things in my refrigerator right now. And my family loves that. This is what's surprising to me right now is that Courtney's like going, "Oh, no, have you got any more of those things? Can we get some more?" And she wants it for the focus, right?
Okay.
They got one set for focus, like that you take in the morning with your coffee and things like that. And you got another one, this Magic Mind little potion. I'll call it a potion because it's like magic to me. And the other one, the dang it, the teenager loves for the sleep aspect of
Hmm.
it.
Yep.
It not only helps her during school, but she likes it to sleep. So now you got two different things. I need focus during the day or I want to sleep better. And we've got both of them in the refrigerator and they're being just chucked every day, just like because it is
Yeah.
changing their life and they're asking me when the next shipment's coming in. So this Magic Mind, who by the way is our sponsor, right? They're our sponsor right now, our
Yep.
mid-roll sponsor. So let's tell them how can our listeners get this Magic Mind?
And I'm also going to add in they are delicious. They're little sweet little jugs
I
of
told you they were
deliciousness,
like little hugs. I
like
told you
little,
they're like
yeah,
little hugs,
little
right?
hugs. And yeah, they're so, got to check them out. And there is a limited time offer that they're giving you guys that are listening to our show. So take advantage of a limited time offer where you can get 48% off a subscription. So if you subscribe, so they come in every month, you actually save virtually half price. Or you can get 20% off a one-time purchase if you just want to try it first. Go to magicmind.com/Mike and Blaine 20. And at checkout, use the code Mike and Blaine 20. And they'll be in the show notes below. You can click on that. Mike, A-N-D, Blaine, number 20. And you can save 20% off or 48 if you actually get a subscription. So go give that a try. Thanks again, Magic Mind, for sponsoring the show.
There you go. So you know they haven't changed who they are. They have
No.
told us from day one who they are, and they
Yep.
stick to it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They stick to it. So all right. So here's the thing. Like, I mean, this all started with people thinking we changed. We didn't change, but I do think companies test. Right? Like,
Yeah.
what if we did this? Like the Jaguar thing. I don't know if that's a permanent move. I don't know.
You can't come
Could
back
be.
from that. They're starting down that path. We'll see what happens. They might step back a bit, but they can't just throw it out. They're going to be years down the road and years of dev in there, so it'll be interesting.
All right, so here's what I liken that to because I saw it. All right, so you got Jaguar, and then you got this, what they just did.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You're about my age, so do you remember Coke and New Coke?
Oh yeah, New Coke did not do very well.
A- and they didn't stick with it, but they didn't get
No,
rid of old Coke.
no. Coke
They
Classic.
just went back. Yeah, Coke Classic, right? So now it's all Coca-Cola Classic. So there's still a way to recover, even when you make a fatal error. You're like, oh, no, we're going to ditch Coke Classic because that's from the 1800s or whenever the original was.
Yeah.
Was it 18 something? 1890 or I don't know when it was.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a long time ago.
I,
They've been around
but
for a while.
th- they were thinking that 100 years later that maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay to change, to bring up something new. And everybody hated it. They're like, going, no, we're already in. We're already in over here, right? This is what we expect. So,
Yeah, you've got to be awfully careful. But like I see what happens because like we've talked about car companies because that's some of the most obvious ones. But when you start to lose market share, you start to lose your mojo. The other one that was a huge win, and I'm going to mention it because it is a massive win. A company that went so far off track was Apple. And they started to turn into IBM, like gray boxes. This was after the Steve Jobs left or was booted out. And he started Next Computer. And then they were floundering and they were dying and they brought him back. And that was when they brought out the first iMac. The first one was only one color. It was a dark blue, but it was like a clear, translucent dark blue background on this little built-in computer with a screen all built in. It looked really, for the time, it looked amazing. And think about how much of a shift that was from the Power PC gray boxes that they had. And overnight, they changed the design language and the personality of the brand. And that carried Apple from almost dead and so far behind the PCs to kind of leading the world in technology hardware in sales for quite a while. Like they're obviously a massive leader there. All came from. See, this is the interesting thing is it's when you're talking about brand, it's not a logo. It's like it's the personality and the design and the positioning and the logo and the messaging and the voicing and the advertising and everything. They go all in and they redeveloped, revolutionized that brand and that company. And so sometimes it can work dramatically well, and other times, uh, I'm trying to think of one that did a massive change and completely failed. The problem is it's hard to remember them because they usually fail because just nobody notices. Like they make a change, people don't recognize them, they're uncomfortable with them, and they're gone.
here's a time in my own career, recent, like last year, that I had a marketing company try to change who I was online. And I think it would have failed. I stopped it before it really got to any type of momentum. But the change was, hey, we need you to do this type of script. They were writing scripts, telling me to do these type of videos. I do it. I'm like going, I think anybody that knows me is going to call bullshit right off the bat. That's not Mike.
Yeah.
Because in my world, I am the brand, right? So I mean, Casual Mike is me and vice versa. So I want your experience to be exactly what you get when you sit on a one-on-one call with me like this, or a group meeting call, or a training session, or you watch my videos. If my advertisements are different than that, then you're going to be
Yeah.
confused as soon as you come in. You're like, oh, who the hell's this? And by the way, did I tell you I gave myself in my book, my new book, Don't Tell Me What to Do. I gave myself a nickname in that book. All right, so the first time I wrote the book, it came off way too what I called hillbilly, right? Country. It came off just the way I speak. It was just way too hillbilly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I went back and rewrote it, and I wrote it more like I'm over at Trinity University and I'm teaching, and then it came off too academic, like a professor. I'm like going, ooh. So I wrote this book 3 times. The third version is a combination of hillbilly and professor, and I called it the Hellfessor. Which is more natural language to me. It's more like I'm speaking to you. It's more like I'm telling the story.
It's not Billy, it's Hillfresser.
I probably should have went pro Billy, right? That would have been funny. Oh man, damn it! I
It
should have
works
run it by
both
you
ways.
first.
It
I
works
should have
both
ran it by
ways.
you. But that's what I'm talking about. Is that I mean, one of the things people like about my books is that they can hear my voice in the writing.
Mhm.
And you know it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I read your book, guess whose voice I heard? I heard you talking to me. Right. So
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
want, that connection. So when you're opposite of that, people don't expect it and they freak out. They're like, oh, this ain't right.
Yeah.
Something isn't right. And it makes people, well, get upset or excited or confused or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
it's not the reaction you want.
Yeah. It's like we've gone through, like, we've gone through a bit of a pivot where we've moved up market. Everyone who loves us is a CFO, so that's who we're talking with every day. That's who we're selling to. And what we did is we went through, like, there wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. It's an evolution. Started with the product and identifying the customers and going all through that, um, and gathering tons and tons of feedback, and then going through a massive positioning exercise. And now we're in the execution stage, but it's still a fairly gradual um, evolution as we change the brand, the messaging, how we approach things, and everything. Um, we're not doing a Jaguar like splash. We don't need to do a Jaguar like splash. But it does, by the time it gets even where it is now, and by the time it gets to a further along, a bit more of a fully executed point, it'll be really quite dramatically different than where we were because, but it's all strategic. It's not like you said, like you hire a marketing company. I'm like, a million times more than that marketing company about you, about your service, and about your customers. They should have been asking you. They should have been drawing all of that out of you to make sure that it was on point and furthering your goals, right? And it makes sense. And so we're trying to be quite careful with that and make sure that it's all based on the customer and it's based on what we need to communicate with them, right?
Yeah. I think we talked about this a few episodes back. It might have been after I fired that marketing company. Where am I going? I really had to dial in who my customer was. Who am I trying to talk to? Because, and remember the analogy I think I gave you is the same one I gave them. I'm like going, I'm not looking for people that want to learn how to drive a car, that want to get a driver's license, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even looking for the person that has a driver's license and just wants to be a better driver. I'm looking for the person that has a license, is already a pretty good driver, and wants to be race cars. Wants to be one of the best race car driver in the world. So I don't have to tell you why you should be in advisory services. I don't have to tell you what you should be doing if you're an advisor. I want to tell you why what you should be doing should be the best in class and everything you do in the world from advisory services standpoint.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And you got to be able to bring that up in your own business.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think one of the mistakes we made, because you are perfectly positioned and suited and everything for that. I think for a while we basically took that sort of approach, but it turned out what we are is like, we're making you a better car. We're not telling you how to drive. You're a race car driver already, and we're giving you a better car. And again, like, that is a
Yeah,
fundamental difference.
or you're putting nitrous on there or something. You're
Exactly.
actually super fueling their business.
Yeah, and we're on the mechanical end, and for a while we were thinking we were over and that let's help them do this, let's help them do that. No, they're pros, and we're equipping them, and I'm not going to tell them how to be a race car driver, how to drive, right? And that's just where we are. But we had to find out where we are because there's nothing good, bad, or other than like teaching someone to drive, teach them how to be a better driver, teach them how to be a race car driver, supplying them with equipment. You just need to know, like, where do you sit? Where do you find that ideal customer? What value do you offer them, and how do you communicate with them and build a brand around the thing that you do well, uniquely as your company? And that's where you got to be careful about chasing somebody else, thinking, oh, they're doing this. Yeah, it could be. it might only be a couple degrees off. But if it's the wrong group, the wrong message, you're going to struggle, right?
It's going to suck money out of your company in two ways. A, you're going to waste marketing dollars in attracting the wrong person. B, once you get the wrong person in there, you're going to have to support them somehow until they figure out they're the wrong person. Right.
Yeah.
If I want to teach somebody chemistry, but I want to teach them how to combine super carbofluorins and they don't know anything about anything, there's a mismatch right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's super important. And that's not a change in who you are. That is a change in who you present yourself as.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the difference in what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's changes like we saw from Jaguar. It's the personality, the logo, the colors, the design of the car, the everything. I've even read like the dealerships, everything. It's all changing. It's all going through a wholesale change. And when you think about Apple is another great example from being on the store in some tech shop as a gray box to what you see today as the Apple store where they have the imagery and the colors and the this and the that. And it's all the whole brand is transformed, right?
For a car, I don't like that color.
Well, I
It's
wouldn't
me,
drive that.
personal
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't rent
It's
it
not my
even.
color
I
either.
wouldn't even rent
No.
a car of that color. But no, I'm not going to do that. I don't know. I just don't like the color.
But what'd you think of the blue one in the background, though? Because there was a blue one. The pink overwhelmed
Facing
everything.
away. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
one
one facing away. It was still a little too light. It was too pastel for me. Is it pastel? Is that the right word? It's too light
Not
or
quite, but
something.
a little bit. I wasn't. It wasn't the blue for me either, to be honest. But that's such a personal taste thing, right?
If you look over the last 30 years of me owning cars, I've owned dark blue, gray, and black. So
Yeah.
the lighter, I've never had a white, never had a red, I'm a darker color car. I don't know why. That's just my preference.
My car right now is a dark charcoal gray. The one before was a more of a little bit medium gray. The one before that was a tiny bit of a lighter gray. And before that, the only car I ever missed was actually a blue, and it was my BMW 328 ISM kit car.
I know you're, yeah. All right. So I know you're a BMW guy. I just learned the story behind the logo this week. I didn't know it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the propeller.
propeller.
Yeah. I didn't realize, because their original thing was making airplanes and airplane engines, that the blue and the white is the sky and the rotation of the propeller is what that is. You're like, oh, damn. Yeah, of course you know it. You're a BMW guy. Me, I'm not. So I thought it was really cool. I get into logos because logos tell a story. They always do.
Yeah. If they're done well. If they're done well, they do. And if they're not, then usually they don't. But
all right, so tell me about the dry run logo. The dry run logo is just a lightning bolt.
Well, it's actually it's a lightning bolt of sort of like it's energy, and it's that sort of thing. But it technically is a graph heading up to the right, up, down a bit, and back up to the right. So it's actually a graph that you would see of your cash flow. And
okay.
But we brought sort of that more energy to it. The very original one was actually a two-tone, and it actually was kind of split in half and looked more like graph lines. But it's that bringing that energy and that lightning bolt to your business so that you're heading up to the right. That's kind of the energy behind it, of course. So
got it. All right. So
it's a little story.
So what did we learn today? Anything? What did we learn about our past month experiment?
That we won't do that again. Okay, two things we learned. We will stick with our brand and just have minor tussles, and Blaine promises to come in without a little bee in his bonnet. And we also learned that we need to make it easier to buy us beer at mikeandblaine.com, but you can still buy it. It's not that hard. So go and check, and you can be a user tester for us. So please go buy us beer. And finally, we also learned that Mike will not drive a pink car.
I probably wouldn't. I don't think that's me, especially a small one, right? If that car, the Jaguar car, is as small as the F-Type, I probably won't drive it because it's not comfortable.
I knew a guy, I haven't seen him in years and years, but I do remember this friend of mine from 20 years ago. When they first got married, they bought a car that was virtually that color. Well, his wife, his new wife, picked the color, and we would just go, "Dude, what's up with the pink car?" And he would get so mad and go, "It's raspberry." It didn't make it any better. It really wasn't raspberry; it was pink.
The pink cars that I think are cool are the ones that are all right. So I mean, Mary Kay, right? Providers. If you get the pink car, you did some shit, right? You actually pounded the pavement. You talked to people. I mean, I know it's a multi-level marketing and not everybody has a great
You got
experience.
lots of other people selling, even if you don't sell much
Yeah.
yourself.
So,
That's how it worked.
but the reward of the
reward
pink
is,
car was like, I know what you did. Everybody knows what you did when you see a pink Cadillac.
Yeah.
With the Mary Kay logo on it. Everybody knows it, you just encourage a lot of other people to sell your makeup.
Exactly. You're really good at
Right?
selling other people on selling. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Now, to me, I don't care if you're selling cars or fiddle hoppers or beer. Doesn't matter to me, right? People come to expect you in a certain way, right? Whether it's the way your website looks, the way your logo looks, the way the shape of your car, just the customer service you get. I mean, why do you think people like Whataburger and Chick-fil-A? There's a certain experience you have at these fast food restaurants. When you change that, you have to manage the change. Remember, people don't fear change, they fear loss. Like, oh, if you change this, what's going to happen to me? Because I like this chair. This chair has my perfect butt dimples in it. We're going to get you another one you can train. You just come back and we'll make the new chair your chair.
Yep.
So, but you have to manage the change because people fear they're going to lose something. So that's the point I wanted to get across. Final words. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when if you do, I don't think you should fear change. If because there's companies out there that have turned into some of the leaders of the world, because they embrace change, but they didn't do change for the sake of change. They looked at what are we best at, who's our perfect customer, how do we communicate? It was more strategic than that, and then the ones that have done it well, they went all in. And they took a leap of faith. So I don't think you have to be scared of it, but be strategic about it and be smart about it. And maybe it transforms your business.
There you go. Hey, if you like what you heard today, there's a little bit of BS, a little bit of beer, a lot of business. If you like that, then like, subscribe, go check out our channels. We're everywhere. I don't care if you're thinking about YouTube, which we're doing a lot more stuff on YouTube now than we used to.
Shorts and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Go to YouTube, check us out on Apple, Spotify, subscribe, like all that. And you can also go, like Blaine says, to our website and
buy some beer. It's not that hard.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.